So first of all, I want to talk about building relationships. So one tip, it doesn't always matter, but I usually recommend that you right click and close these tabs. What Access does is as you open up different objects over here, it just keeps opening them in a series of tabs. Usually it doesn't make much of a difference, but every once in a while, if you have a tab open, you can't complete some other task. So I'm not exactly sure. So it's always best just to close those. If you need to access them again, the tabs will be over here. So when you want to build a relationship, you would go to Database Tools and then Relationships. So here you would select the names of the tables, and I do believe that your professor listed them specifically. I only have 2 tables in mine because this is one that is 100 years old. So I'm just going to add those 2 tables, and then I can close this. So when you're building a relationship, especially I believe yours is a one-to-many relationship, it's pretty easy to do. So what I would do is take the field and drag it over to the field from one table and drag it over to one of the fields in the other table, and then this box will open up. I do believe you were asked to build, of course I don't have the right kind of information, so yours here would probably say one-to-many relationship because yours would relate differently than mine, and you can click create, and what you're going to get is a little join line, and this will yours may have a little infinity sign here to show that it's a one-to-many relationship, and that's all it takes to really build a relationship. You can close this. I recommend saving those changes, and then anytime you need to go back, you can see your relationships that you've already built. If you had multiple relationships, they would all appear on this window. The other thing it appears that you were asked to do was to create a query, create a form, and I believe create a report. And all of those can be done on the Create tab. You can go to the Query Wizard, and here you can, and I believe you were just asked to complete a simple query. From here you would pick the tables or the queries or whatever information you need. From the instructors table then you could pick fields to send over for your query, and then I could go to the other table and send that information over and click next. Here's where you're going to name your query, and then you can either open it to just view the information. So that would be just like your when you were building those tables. So this would be like a data sheet view, or you can open it to make changes to it, which would be the design view. So I'm going to go into design view because I think I remember you had to do some specific things. So what you have here are the tables that I said I would use. You can expand these so you can actually see everything in them. And then down here is where you can go in and you can specify. So you can decide to sort. If you were asked to sort either A to Z, Z to A, criteria. So if you were looking for maybe a higher date of a certain date, and I do believe that a couple of yours asked for specific cities or specific locations, so you would type that in here. So you would enter what specifically, so of all these records, you are asking only to find instructors, in this case, who were hired before or after a certain date. So you can go through and create queries, and this is where all your fields would go. If you forgot a field when you were building it, you can just double click and it will put it down here. You can also click here and add fields. Once you have added everything at the bottom that you need, you can then click run. Because I don't have any records specifically, once you run the query, you'll see that it is over here, and then you can always refer back to it. So this would have specifically the fields I had looked for, pulling from whatever tables or queries I wanted to pull from. And queries that's part of the beauty of a database, is you can take information and mix it and match it any way that you would like. The other thing that you were asked to create would be a form. You can go into form design, which takes a lot of work. I'm not sure how extensive yours is supposed to be, but you can go into a very basic form. And you will see here it's just called instructor. You can right click that, or I'm sorry, you can click in there and then you can name it whatever you wanted. And this gives you all of your fields. So now you can go in and just like everything else, you have a form view and then you have a layout view. And layout view would allow you to make some adjustments to your fields. You can make some adjustments to what all is in here. And then once I close, I'm going to save it. You could rename it here. And then it appears over here as a form. And then you were also asked to create a report. Once again, you can go into report design, which if you're building a more complex report, this would give you optimal options. However, you can go into just report, and this is going to give you a very basic report. This will allow you to see all of your information laid out in a very easy to follow format. You can also save this, give it the name that you want. So now you have another object here. If I go into design, here is where you would actually build it. So you would use this to put text boxes in, you could put images in, you can insert things as you go. This takes a little more thought, a little more planning. According to what I remember from reading in your directions, I think just creating a basic report and form is about all your professor wanted. But I really hope this helps. It's sort of a quick tutorial. I'm a little rusty with Access, but I gave it a try.